Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. So glad you guys could join us once again. For those tuning in on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and on Instagram, we're glad that you all can be able to join us. We're about to connect with our friends over on Amazon so we can introduce you guys to our next guest. She's making her first appearance with us here on Amazon.com, but she's no stranger to readers out there. So I'm excited about having her on the program today. And we're now live on Amazon Live with Cyrus Webb Presents. If you guys are new to us on the Amazon platform, make sure you guys hit that follow button. We have programming here 6 days a week. You'll see it either here in this corner or down below. You also will see the latest book by our next guest. So excited to welcome author Emily Carpenter to our broadcast today. You guys know her from some great reads, but her newest book already has people talking. It's called GOTHICTOWN. We're going to talk to Emily not only about her writing journey, but what it's like for her to create this newest cast of characters, and of course, to see the way that you readers are taking advantage of getting able to know them. For those joining us on Amazon, you'll notice you guys can get the book there in print as well as a Kindle edition while we're having our conversation. For those joining us on social media, you'll find the link there to be able to get it for yourself too. Emily, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me here. I'm excited to talk to you.
Well, look, I'm excited about it as well. I was saying to you before we went live in our little pre-show that I really enjoyed this book. I love the characters. We're going to dive a little bit into that and kind of whet our audience appetite for those who haven't read the book. But what has it been like for you already, Emily, to see the way that people are responding to Billy and the situations in GOTHICTOWN?
It's been really gratifying. I had a pretty extensive book tour, and I was able to it was like boots on the ground. I was meeting old readers who knew who I was, and new readers and bookstore owners, and I've been bowled over by the response. It's been really gratifying. Yeah, fun.
Well, as we both mentioned, I mean, people have gotten to know you already, and you're known for suspense and kind of keeping readers guessing. You really turned that up a notch, though, in GOTHICTOWN, I feel like, with characters that are relatable, but also, I think, with situations that we kind of wonder, okay, what would I do in a situation like that? Talk to us about the what if of this book. Emily, how did this story come to you?
So it was kind of one of those slow burning ideas, but kind of the first thing that really made me know this was a good book idea was I read this article in New York Magazine about an Italian village that was giving away crumbling medieval villas for €1. And they were basically like, we've seen this, right? Like cities all over the world, like trying to bring people to come and kind of revitalize and build the economy. So I just thought, oh, this is just like a Gothic book idea on a silver platter for me. All I had to do was like make it into a Southern story. So that was. And what was the rest of the question?
Yeah, no, that's a great start. No, Emily, that's great. So let me ask you this, because I think that's the cool thing about Billy, the main character we get to meet, is that when she finds herself in a situation, she has this opportunity. Of course, she has a life that she doesn't mind getting away from. So it kind of makes it, one of those big things for her that seems like such a good idea initially. Talk to us about Billy. How did Billy kind of come to you?
Yeah, so Billy is kind of like a little bit of me, but more accomplished, maybe more. She's like bigger. She's like braver. She's like she's willing to like make that leap of faith. So yeah, she gets this opportunity with a very low cost house to move to this tiny town in Georgia, and she's lost her restaurant in New York in the pandemic, and she really wants to she wants a do-over, and she wants to open a new restaurant. And I just think that fantasy of like, we're going to pull up stakes, we're going to move to some place, we're going to move to Vermont and open a bed and breakfast, or I think we all have that. And we all kind of fantasize sometimes about leaving our present lives and starting something completely new. And so that I was really trying to explore that with Billy. And so of course Billy is a person who would do that.
Yeah.
She's kind of adventurous and confident. And but yeah, there's a little bit of me and Billy.
Got you. Got
Yeah.
you. Well, I love the fact we're going to come back to it, but I love the fact that Billy is someone that is relatable. Emily, in that it's not that she's perfect.
Yeah.
She doesn't come from perfect circumstances, and
Right.
she is still trying to figure not only life out for herself, but also as we see as the book kind of progresses for her family too, right? And so definitely want to talk more about that. I want to go back though to your own storytelling journey. You and I were talking before we went live here that one of the things that comes up in this book pretty early on is the idea of gifts. And all of us, having some form of gift and embracing that gift. When did you realize that storytelling was that gift for you, Emily?
Oh man, that's a good question. And I think like that is like our whole life's journey, right? Is
Mhm.
figuring out what your gift is. And it's sometimes it's really hard to own that
Yeah.
because it feels like you're saying, I'm really good at something and you feel like you shouldn't do that. But I think yeah, I knew I loved stories. I loved reading from the time I was a kid. I loved watching movies. I loved watching TV. And so I knew I really loved story. I don't know that I don't know that I okay, there was like one moment where I was writing screenplays. This was before I was trying to write books.
Yeah.
I was writing screenplays and I entered a screenplay I wrote into the Sundance Writers Lab. And I actually got on the short list, or maybe it was no, it was the long list, whatever. They were very kind of
Okay.
vague about how many people were on this, cutoff list. But
Yeah.
that was the first time I think I had outside validation, which for some reason, I don't know. I think we all need that person outside of us or
Mhm.
some kind of gatekeeper or entity to say, you know how to do this. You know what you're doing. And that was the kind of moment I knew I loved it. That was the moment I felt like, oh, somebody else said, okay, you're pretty good at this.
Yeah. Yeah. And now you are literally living the dream of so many people who have had those stories. I mean, with each book, is that becoming more and more real for you?
It is, but it's not like a straight ascent up
Okay.
some mountain. It's very like once you get into the actual world of publishing and writing books, like write each new book is a new challenge. And, publishing is an industry that has its ups and downs. So I think you're still with each book experiencing difficulties, both creative and from a business standpoint.
Yeah.
So like I just at this point I'm really careful to protect my creativity and try to be really positive that focusing on what is beautiful and joyful about what I do, which is like this, like talking to you, like talking about story and talking about what the story means to us personally. Yeah.
Right. I love that. And I think that's one of the things that readers enjoy as well. Miss Queenie, hello to you. She's an avid reader. She's literally going on Facebook. She says, hello, Eugene Williams. Hello to you over on IG. Glad you can join us. For those of you on Amazon, I appreciate the hearts. If you guys have any questions or comments for Emily, make sure you guys do put those in the chat. We do have the chat open. I'll be monitoring that. So let's go back to Gothic Town. And what I love about this book is I've gotten to know Billy. And for those who don't know, the story's kind of told in Billy's voice and Billy's thinking. So we kind of really get to know Billy, but we also get to know the surroundings. And I always love books, Emily, where the house or the town is just as much a character as the people living in them. What was it like for you to give life to this town and the secrets that it had to hold?
Well, it's so funny because, we talk about in the writing community, we talk about world building,
Mhm.
and usually people think about that in terms of fantasy or science fiction. But for me, there's world building in every book I write. And so
Yeah.
I'm building this world of a town that is kind of your classic idyllic a little bit of a throwback, a very small town, very tightly knit community in the South, but there's something slightly askew.
Hmm.
And that was really fun. And it was to create that and to kind of figure out what those signs that Billy was going to start to sense very
Right.
soon after her arrival into town. And I mean, honestly, to like create the characters who populate this town I had a ball doing that.
Right.
I mean, you live in the South. We know we have
Mhm.
our quirky, like Southern community, and it's just a blast to recreate that. And
Yeah.
yeah, I had fun with it.
Good deal. My mom's watching. Hey, mom. Good to be able to see you over there on Facebook. Glad you
We
get to
love that. We love
yeah,
mom.
yeah. But you know what I thought was so funny, and I'll talk around this, Emily, and you'll know what I'm talking about. What I think is so interesting, and again, I think readers will, and you and I were saying this before we went live, that yes, of course, here in the South, a lot of this seems so familiar, but I think one of the universal things is the idea of control and power, and how
Yeah.
sometimes that is seated in family, sometimes it is seated in those who feel like they kind of are able to hold sway. We see that in Gothic Town and how people who otherwise Billy finds out, should be on her side because of loyalty to what is kind of expected. It doesn't always turn out that way. What was that like for you to play with that really real world theme of power and control in this book?
Yeah, I mean, this is a like you said, universal theme and something we all struggle with. And I think we have to think about it is
Mhm.
the people who are in control of a certain hierarchy or, structure or dynamic, or, we
Mhm.
have government, we have religious institutions, we have
Mhm.
like businesses. And so this group in Juliana, they are the three founding families, and they call themselves the old guard, and everybody refers to them as the old guard. And they're these three families that are Billy initially thinks are just really benevolent and friendly, and want the best for the town. But there definitely is a dark side to how far these people will go. And I think this is the human condition, right? I mean, it's like money, power.
Yeah.
That's what people are after, and we see it in every context.
Yes.
Um, Shockingly, sometimes how far people will go to keep power.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I think to keep in Billy's case, what we see to keep things buried, to keep
right,
to keep people in line.
right.
And I think that is the other thing. And so I love the fact that you're not afraid to put her in these precarious situations, Emily. But I also love the fact that you mentioned earlier about being parts of yourself. Is Billy more aspirational for you in that respect of her being someone willing to fight? Or do you see that kind of being a kindred spirit of yourself?
I like to think that I'm braver than I am, I
Mhm.
think. I have these moments, and I think we all do, where we're
Yeah.
like, you're in a situation and you don't say or do maybe the courageous thing, and then you go and you're like, I'm going to say this next time, I'm going to say that, I'm going to do, and so I think Billy is this way. But also I tend to write characters like this who really do, when push comes to shove, they say, I'm not running, I'm fighting.
Mhm.
They say the thing. And yeah, so in that way, aspirational. In another way, Billy, she is a flawed human being, and she really does make some decisions that I hope I wouldn't make.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, she does not, it is not a straight line for her. She has to kind of
Yeah.
find her way in this town. And I think that's part of the power of this town, is that it's sort of like it doesn't force her to do things she wouldn't do, but it does start to like mess with her sense of values a little
Mhm.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah. As a reader, Emily, one thing that I felt for myself as reading the book was that it kind of is like what we all have to do with decide, okay, are you going to go along to get along? Or are you going to stand for something? And it seems like in so many situations, Billy found herself trying to escape situations instead of
Yes.
actually taking a stand.
Yes.
And it seems like we're able to see that, kind of come to a head for her, where she finds something that she's willing to really take a stand for. Did this story feel different for you, Emily, when you finished it than the other books?
Um, that is a complicated question for me. I was at a point in my career when I finished this book. I was at a point in my career when I had not, there had been sort of it had probably been 2 years since I had published a book.
Okay.
And I had a book out on submission, a manuscript that was not really getting any traction. So when I finished this book, I had a combination of feelings like I really love this book, but sometimes I really love all my books, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
sometimes I'm not the best judge, but I did have a good feeling about it. I felt like it was a really fun and also a deeply meaningful book.
Mhm.
But yeah, like I said, it's that protecting that creativity. So I was like, I don't know, I have my doubts, like this other book is not getting any traction, but I did feel great about the book itself.
Yeah.
But sometimes those, as artists, we feel very excited about the art. We feel less confident about the business side
Yeah.
sometimes.
Well, yeah. I think a lot of our audience will appreciate
Yeah.
that and
Yeah.
get it. But
Yeah.
I love the fact that, again, the way this story unfolds and really takes you in from the very beginning is that it really does, I think, connect with that part of us who can understand what it's like to, for one, want something better, but
Yeah.
also want to be able to bring something better, to ourselves and to those we love too. And I think, again, in that situation, Billy, I think, represents a lot of us. Maybe it's not, failed business, but it could be a failed relationship, or just not feeling like we're living up to who we are meant to be, I think.
Yes.
But then also the complications that can come with that, for sure. This is such a great conversation with you, Emily. So glad we could have you on. Again, everyone, Emily Carpenter has been our guest. Gothic Town is the new book by Emily. For those joining us on Amazon, you guys can get it in print, or you guys can get the Kindle edition there. It's on sale on Kindle for 60% off right now. So make sure you guys take advantage of that. Also, of course, for you guys joining us on social, the link is there to be able to come over to Amazon to get your copy. Emily, how can our audience stay connected with you and the exciting updates around Gothic Town?
Yeah, so my website is emilycarpenterauthor.com. So you can find me there, but I'm also on Facebook under Emily Carpenter. I'm on Instagram at emily.d.c. And yeah, mostly those two places.
Okay. Well, Emily, I hope you'll come back. Looking forward to chatting with you again.
Thank you. This was fun.
Well, I appreciate that. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.